Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano. I've been doing keto for 8 years and coaching people all throughout that time. Basically, I'm going to tell you why dirty keto is the opposite of what you probably think it is in this video. So let's get right into it, and I'm going to teach you how to easily discern what is dirty and what is clean on a ketogenic diet. So, I've made multiple videos on this, and I will continue to make multiple videos on this because it's simply a broad topic, but the most fundamental principles are going to be in this video. So, what are the most fundamental principles of dirty keto? The most fundamental principle is it's not about, this food or that food, okay? It's not about bacon, or it's not about pork, or it's not about red meat, or it's not about cheese or dairy, okay? Isn't dairy bad? Listen, you have to understand that quality of the food and the food source is what determines if a food is clean or not. If you get bacon from Walmart, yeah, it was probably fed soy, grains, wheat, and other GMOs. But if you get pasture-raised pork, you're getting a healthy animal product that's going to have an optimized balance of omega-3s, so anti-inflammatory fats, to omega-6s, inflammatory fats. So, and you're also going to get a lot higher fat-soluble vitamin content, so vitamin A, E, D, and K, and which I even take individually here, like in their own liquids, okay? Links below, because they're such important vitamins. Like the fat-soluble vitamins, these four, A, E, D, and K, E isn't in this one, but basically those four are some of the most important vitamins that we need. They basically act as hormones in the body, so they're so powerful. When we are depleted of them, we notice it. This is why people get depressed in the wintertime, okay? They're low in vitamin D, which we get from the sun. And overall, the only way to get these nutrients is from food or the sun. And essentially, when you're not getting them, your body is not going to like that, and you're not going to feel good. And the worst part is they are only available in fats. So people ignore these foods. They don't realize you need fat in order to digest these vitamins. And when it comes to actually benefiting yourself in a health context, these are typically the vitamins people are most deficient in, even when they have adequate sunlight, when they have adequate amounts of fat. So one of the reasons I'm so critical of macro dieting and flexible dieting is that it doesn't have an emphasis on acquiring some of the nutrients that are most important, okay? Keto does kind of put you in the dark, but then directs you in the general area of getting those because you're eating more fats typically, even though keto is not technically a high-fat diet. But despite what people will tell you, it's a low-carb diet. It's a no-carb diet, okay? So that brings us to the next topic, okay? First one is source matters, because if you have a healthy animal product or a organic vegetable product or a herbicide, pesticide-free plant product, you are getting a way more clean keto food. This is because the source matters. So when you have, just because you have spinach, just because you have kale, doesn't mean that it's clean. Kale is actually high in thallium and other heavy metals. And if you get it from a pesticide, Roundup sprayed monocrop, you're going to be getting basically a bunch of glyphosate, which is terrible for your skin, it's terrible for your body, it's an endocrine disruptor, it disrupts your hormonal system and perhaps even your fertility. And also, it creates a lot of oxidative stress and free radicals in your body. So, and inflammation in general is probably one of the biggest inflammatory ingredients in our food supply. So, when we're talking about getting clean foods, kale in that context would actually be horrible for you, besides the fact that it's full of a lot of anti-nutrients. Oxalate, I believe, particularly. But if you get your greens from a herbicide, pesticide-free source that isn't monocropped and shipped over from Mexico, and flown over by plane, okay? If you get it from a good quality source, a local source, basically you'll get all the benefits, which are basically hormetic benefits from kale, because something like kale, hormetic in this means that it's going to stress the body a little bit, which creates a beneficial effect. So even like weightlifting is a hormetic benefit because you're stressing the body, but there's an adaptive response that creates a benefit. So there's lots of benefits in that way, but if you're getting it from a source that doesn't give a shit about how they produced it, that is what dirty keto truly is. So never misunderstand that, okay? So that applies with all plant products, all animal products. Source is key. So if you get a grass-fed steak, okay, or grass-fed liver, okay, or cod liver if you're a vegetarian, which is what I give to a lot of my vegetarian people. You're getting way higher amounts of omega-3s compared to 6s, especially in the fish liver, and it also tastes way better too, by the way. And you're getting hitting way past the daily amount of your fat-soluble vitamins, so A, E, D, and K. And we know how important those are. Vitamin A is like one of the biggest antioxidants in your body. And vitamin E is also, but it's one of the ones that you tend to notice more in your skin. This is why a lot of keto people get compliments on the skin, but also because they're not having too high amounts of sugar. And sugar is a precursor to, well, it's necessary to make certain types of acne. So watch my keto skin video on that one. But especially as it applies to sugar, okay? There's the dirty keto in the sense that, you're eating more sugar than you should, right? That is, its own thing. Typically, when you eat processed foods, that is where you're going to see more of this dirty keto effect. Why? Because you have processed oils and processed sugar. Even if there's a small amount of sugar, it's a problem, and processed sugars are going to jack up your blood sugar and jack up your insulin and create more oxidative stress. So stress at the cellular level in your body, okay? And they also create more cellular waste because they create more pyruvate in the ATP energy production Krebs cycle in your body, okay? The citric acid cycle. So there's that. But then what's the problem with processed fats? Here's the biggest determiner of dirty keto. The biggest determiner of dirty keto is processed oils, inflammatory oils. Why are they inflammatory? Well, when you take canola oil, rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, right? Cottonseed oil, these plant oils, basically, they have to expose them to very high temperatures in order for them to be marketable and have a shelf life. So what they'll do is, besides the fact that they'll get, doused in hexane or other, solvents like that, essentially, when you have a oil that's heated up, its fatty acid chain becomes ridiculously unstable. And you can watch my video on cellulite. That's one of the theories as to why people gain this misshaped looking fat, because inflammatory oils, hydrogenated oils, are literally misshaped fats. That's literally what they are. They're not stable. And the body basically uses fat storage for multiple purposes, one of them being to store nutrients or to store toxins. And when you have fats that are high in certain nutrient density, then guess what? Your body's going to not need to store as much fat in order to save a bunch of nutrients up. So getting your fat from cod liver, from Atlantic cod liver, Norwegian cod liver, you're getting a bunch of fat-soluble vitamins, which then if your body is going to store fat, it doesn't need to store as much to basically get that benefit, right? So if there's ever a famine, you have the ability to pull on that nutrient from stored fat, stored energy. Meanwhile, if you got your fat from processed oils, it's devoid completely of nutritional benefit, and also it's just carrying all this inflammatory compound, which is literally what unstable fatty acids are. They're inflammatory, okay? And they're literally the leading cause of heart disease, cardiovascular problems. I can't urge you enough. Cut these out from your diet, and that is the number one nutritional benefit you can make in any diet plan, okay? I don't even care if you don't like my keto stuff, or you don't like my fasting, or it seems too ridiculous for you. You don't want to join the keto cult that I always joke around, because it seems extreme for a lot of people. But if you just cut out processed oils, hydrogenated oils, the canola spray in your pan, okay? If you just cut those out, you will notice 10 times better health, I promise you. Okay, and from there, then, you make more of the steps towards keto stuff and, getting more nutrient-dense foods, etc., etc. But cut those out. And oftentimes, those ingredients are combined with high-processed sugar. So in my other videos, I've explained how a lot of foods in this competitive marketplace, they have the Bliss Point, which is where they combine a certain amount of fat, carb, and sodium, and artificial ingredients, which is another point of this video, to a point where they create this blissful sensation, this high reward response in the brain. So literally, our brain is designed to feel high reward response when we combine carb and fat, okay? Because if you think about it, we have two energy sources, right? As I always say, your body doesn't care what fuel source you're running on, it just wants to know. I mean, personally, I think it does care, and there's longer arguments for that because carbs don't grow in the winter, and then they're much more available in the summer, so it's probably some sort of cyclical, seasonal metabolism we're designed to have, which is my main, theory, and it logically makes sense, checks out. But I have other videos on that to explain it deeper. But essentially, your body has two fuels, okay? And when you get both of them in the same meal, that would be a luxury in nature. Your body would basically be saying, holy shit, guys, we're going to live till at least tomorrow because we got a bunch of both fuels coming in. That is why it's so palatable. There's literally a science to this. And when you add sodium too, that helps with water retention, hydration. So there's a lot of other benefits to those minerals, electric conductivity in your muscles intracellularly. But there's a lot of other benefits that your body would want to have. And the point is, you know, we're designed to react to that because that would have been conducive to us surviving. That's what our body cares about. That's what our evolutionary mechanisms care about. And essentially, when you have foods, you'll notice the moment you start doing a keto diet, you'll notice there's hidden sugar in everything. You'll notice, oh wow, this honey smoked ham has like 3 grams of sugar. Whatever, I'll just get it anyways. That's what a lot of people do. But realistically, the problem is not with ham. The problem is not with even deli meats, okay? Of course, it's about the, you know, the source and the processing. If it's a lot of processed meat, it's not going to be high quality. That is where you have also a higher tendency of having these hidden sugars, having these processed oils in there. But when you have, you know, a honey smoked ham, even if it's a great quality ham, that little bit of sugar is put in there intentionally to jack up the reward response so that you think Schneider's ham tastes better than, you know, no name brand, okay? Or I don't even know what other brands for just random ham, okay, off the top of my head, okay? Maple Leaf, but I can only know Canadian brands. But Maple Leaf's actually pretty good, I think. But anyways, the point is a lot of these brands will compete in that sort of context, and they'll even throw in these artificial ingredients, which is the last area here. Okay, maybe not the last area because I'm going to talk a little bit about dairy, but I'm trying to make this video quick, and that's why I'm just riffing, throwing so many, you know, sentences out here. So like and subscribe because I'm putting a lot of mental energy in this because I want to help you. This video is going to change the way you look at clean keto, dirty keto forever, I promise you. So like the video, subscribe right now. with the artificial sweeteners, okay? A lot of these sweeteners, I have so many videos on them. Basically, besides, you know, blatantly putting sugar into a food to give it a more of a reward response, artificial sweeteners like MSG, aspartame, and sulfate potassium, they're designed to be sweet without actually causing a blood sugar rise. So MSG is an excitatory neurotoxin, and so is aspartame. Basically, what that means is they make your brain release a bunch more glutamate, so excitatory neurotransmitter, so that you think a food tastes better than it does, okay? Joke that I've been milking in the last few of my videos is that somebody could put a bunch of MSG and aspartame in a piece of shit and you would think that it tasted unreal, okay? So that is the joke here for clean keto, dirty keto. But as far as artificial sweeteners go, yes, some of them are promoting of inflammation and oxidative stress, and some of them have, you know, studies that show they cause cancer in rats, like sulfate and potassium, right? Some of them are similar to pesticides, like sucralose, but I'm not going to be crying all night if I have 4 milligrams of sucralose in my, you know, low sugar ketchup. But the point is, if there's MSG and aspartame and sulfate and potassium, I'm avoiding those things as much as I can. Especially MSG, aspartame. You should have a no aspartame, no MSG policy for those ingredients, okay? They are designed to trick your brain into not getting enough satisfaction unless the food contains those ingredients. So cut those out. That is dirty keto, and that is often in processed ingredients, okay? That's why I recommend, you know, hold on, foods like these Quest cookies and stuff, okay? Quest cookies, amazing product, okay? I simply love these things. They're one of the best keto snacks to have on hand because they're clean. It's not because they have a particularly high nutrient density, right? Like some of my other videos have explained, cod liver is a great canned food to have because it tastes amazing, I promise you, okay? It tastes way better than any other liver you can get your hands on. If you get it from a high quality source, you're basically getting a superfood in a can for a couple bucks. So Quest cookies, great alternative, but are they necessarily dirty? No. If they contain more hydrogenated oils, yes. If they contain hidden sugars, it's dirty in the sense that it's going to probably dampen ketosis. But as far as understanding what foods are clean and dirty, it's not just vegetables good, animals bad, dairy bad, you know, it's not that binary, okay? It's about source. Pesticides are horrible, okay? And there's some of the biggest contributors to health problems nowadays and endocrine disruption. So and GMOs as well, like soy, essentially corn, most of the world's soy, like 95% of it is genetically modified, okay, and it's inflammatory and has estrogenic properties. You can watch my other videos on those things, but overall, those are things that are actually going to cause problems. So you also want to avoid things like soy, okay, but this video is kind of just meant to hammer you with every single direction this can go in, okay? I'm not trying to take you down the rabbit hole of every single direction, but I'm trying to let you know, hey, this is north, this is south, east and west, okay? So you know, okay, source matters, okay, try to avoid processed oils, Okay, so you kind of know the directions, right? Artificial sweetener is not as optimal. You know, if you're getting a processed food, make sure it's devoid of those things, etc. Dairy, last thing I'll say is, for a lot of dairy products, people can have inflammatory reactions if they're allergic to casein A1, which is the type of protein in milk products, dairy products, that essentially can cause an inflammatory reaction for people. 50% of the world's cows have this. Goats do not. So if you're somebody who doesn't really know if you react to dairy or not, try getting goat's milk products, or basically, you know, if you have the other option is you have a lactose problem. So if you know you're lactose intolerant, then beautiful. Okay, just either take a lactase enzyme. You can also try to build up bacterial strains in your gut to actually digest dairy. But the main problem with a lot of dairy is that it's pasteurized nowadays. So again, exposed to high temperatures, and then they re-fortify it with vitamin D liquids afterwards and other fat-soluble vitamins, because they essentially try to market it better that way. But the thing is, when they break down all the fat and they give it a longer shelf life by pasteurizing it, exposing it to heat, essentially they get rid of all the enzymes that would help your body break down lactose, okay? So lactase is the primary enzyme for that purpose. And when, of course, you know, raw milk is not going to have a shelf life, okay? It's only going to last a short amount of time, but it's undeniably more nutrient dense, especially in the context of a grass-fed cow. Like, a grain-fed cow is a different story, because a lot of pathogens thrive off of grain-fed animals. So another thing, grass-fed, grain-fed distinction is huge, okay? That's if that wasn't clear enough. And that's why you want to get local sourced plant foods and animal foods, okay? And they're also way better carbon footprint wise, especially local. I mean, think about shipping over a bunch of mangoes from Mexico in the winter. You know, so I'm not trying to make this ethical anyway. My page is not about ethical political arguments. My page is about getting people to improve their health by cutting out sugar, okay? And of course, all the other funky dieting techniques like fasting, etc. So, when it comes to how you should incorporate clean keto, okay, when it comes to dairy, if you're allergic to lactose, then, you know, you can either try lactase, you can either try raw milk products, or you can just avoid dairy. You know, if you know you have a reaction to it and nothing else has worked for you. I highly recommend using things that have lactase in them, taking a lactase enzyme. This is why I talk about enzymes so much. And I have my digestive enzymes on the other side of the room, but you should take them with a lot of your meals on any diet. Essentially, when we're looking at the only other scenario here, which is, I guess, people who don't want to have large amounts of dairy, then skip that, okay? Everything else here is your guide to knowing what is clean and what is dirty on keto. And I've had people ask this before. I've had people ask about anti-nutrients. I haven't even gotten into that. But if you just follow the general direction of this guide and you eat, you know, you eat salads to your liking, and you eat meat to your liking, you eat eggs to your liking, you will find a much greater balance. But you have to make sure you have a balance of certain nutrients that will actually make you feel more full and have a better sense of satisfaction with the diet. So, side note here, one of my book/programs is coming out very soon. It's called Keto Pro Start, and it's actually going to give you a lot of the guides and useful tips. I call them the 10 commandments of keto, basically, to get a sustainable keto diet in place. Because a lot of people will just say, oh yeah, just, you know, just have a lot of fat with everything, or just cut out the carbs, or just eat 20-80 fat to protein, or protein to fat ratio, right? They'll say things like that. But they don't understand. Keto is about quality, and the better quality keto you have, the better you're going to have an experience of the diet. So as far as it comes to that book and program I'm writing and almost complete, I highly recommend you turn on the notification bell to get notified when I put this out, because I'm going to start it off cheaper for the first week for all my, you know, OG pioneer people here. Thank you. And when it comes to you actually having a balanced keto diet and, you know, finding all the little problems that a lot of people complain about, they're all going to be explained there, because I basically explain the main ways that people mess up, and even things like, you know, certain foods to have on a regular basis, because a lot of online calculators nowadays will just tell you macros, but they don't really realize that certain macro distributions have different benefits. Certain foods have different benefits. You need certain amounts of certain nutrients. You need to hit certain nutritional requirements, and this book makes it easy, and it's very short and simple and right to the point, okay? And the program accompanying it is the same, okay? That's it for this video. Leave me some of the comments. I know I've left some other stuff out here, but I've tried to just hammer a lot of points. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I didn't talk your ears off too much, but subscribe, like, follow. That's it for me. Peace.